GG, I am DJ Jones of all they know. Chris Ryder, we all did at the Round Table Podcast, your source to knowledge. We got a special guest tonight, sales manager, mortgage, loan originator, and especially, childhood friend, my man Jaime De Jesus. What's going on, baby?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Shit, you know, let me get a little clap. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though, man. We go way back though, man. We go way back. I don't know where to begin, bro. I don't know where to begin, man. But listen, man, give a little brief introduction about yourself, though, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a sales manager and a mortgage loan originator with Cherry Creek Mortgage. I've been doing that now with this specific company for about 2 years. They're based out of Colorado. They're a national mortgage company. They pretty much what we do is we originate loans for the purposes of you getting into your home, bro.
Okay.
It's really fairly simple as far as kind of the model is concerned, but it's a nice little bit. It's a bit different in the sense where you typically with the uneducated customer will go to a bank, or the uneducated customer will just go to what they see on TV, Rocket Mortgage. And it really is a lot more complex than that. And there are people out there who are really specialized in it. So that's what I do.
And I was kind of like figuring out what that term meant, you know what I mean, when you said loan originator. But now as you actually elaborated more about that, I actually now get it now.
Yeah.
Where that comes from.
Honestly, it's there, as I said before, I still help customers get through their mortgages.
Right.
I still, work on a daily basis as far as talking to customers. It doesn't matter if it's, Sunday or Saturday, 9 o'clock at night.
Gotcha.
If there's a need, I'm helping there. And, I think where I really need to stress, as I mentioned earlier, is that we are a different machine. You have the bank that...
Explain that, though, for our viewers and listeners, though. Like, how does that work, though? What's the difference, though? Like, what actually separates you from what you said right now?
So I think the biggest thing is that you're a specialty. When you work with a mortgage company like myself, that I'm independent, I have that transparency factor that can come to you. It is an actual trusted advisor. This is all I do. Versus when you go to the bank, I'm not going to start to name my competition, but places that have flags or big blue logos. When you go to or green logos nowadays as well, you start to have that conversation about you want to go, buy a condo, you want to go buy a home, you want to do those different factors.
Gotcha.
They're working off the license of the bank. They're not necessarily working off of education that they had.
So in other words, they're not really trained.
They're not
in that field.
They work on a web-based training that trains them for that.
Oh, okay.
Versus someone like myself that actually has to go get educated and holds the fiduciary understanding that I actually own that. So you get in trouble, I don't get slapped in my hand. I get fined.
Oh shit!
$1 million plus 10 years in prison.
Oh wow!
So on the bank side, the bank's covering.
Damn. Wow, man.
And then you have the other ones, like we talked about, Rocket Mortgage, Quicken, these other big companies that really guaranteed rate, which, are showing on the NBA, they're showing on the NFL. Those are call centers. So the biggest difference behind what they specifically do versus what I do is they are licensed as well. So that is a good thing. But they work on numbers.
Explain that. What do you mean by numbers, though?
So they need to do... That specific loan originator is working 100 other files on a monthly basis. That's how they're getting paid. That's how they're making their bottom line. While someone like me who's going to work usually about 10 to 15 files, I'll break even just as good as they do, if not better. But in turn, I can now, with those 10 to 15 customers on a monthly basis, provide a relationship. I can create a customer experience.
All right.
And really, truly just build that.
When you say because you're dealing with less people opposed to...
Well, dealing with less people, but I think it really boils down to this. We all do the same thing when it comes down to it. Gotcha. Everybody has the same interest rates. Everybody can get to the same place. At the end of the day, what is the person on the other side of the table bringing to the table? I am an individual where I believe that I am going to give myself to my client versus just doing this for a buck. I mean, this is not I am a relationship-based lender, is the way I look at it. Yes, I still have the guidelines that I have to maneuver, but my job is to structure it to get you there. It may not be immediately. It may take a year. It may take 6 months. It may be a week from now. But the process, once you're actually in the process and you have a contract on a property or you're doing a refinance, it's about 30 days.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good clip. When you go to a bank, you're looking at 90 days. 60 days.
That.
Yeah.
Damn, wow, that's a major difference as far as like time, right? Because I mean, you say 1 month compared to 3 months.
So it's the sheer volume. So think about. Okay, we're gonna name them. Think about Bank of America.
We're gonna drop one.
We're gonna drop them, and I'm gonna use them because I worked for them for almost a decade.
Oh yeah, okay.
When you think about Bank of America, they're a large conglomerate. They're in 48 of the 50 states.
Oh yeah, it's a big corporation. Yeah, absolutely.
They have a centralized sales model, similar to the call centers,
right,
where they still have people that are in the bank to help you through those items, but they're not the ones actually originating those. They're sending that to get processed and underwritten somewhere in one of 3 different hubs across the country.
Oh shit.
While my team, we have it all in-house.
Oh,
so my assistant,
wow.
I speak to her daily, multiple times a day.
Okay.
My processor, I can pick up a phone or I can walk up to them and have that ability. Same thing with my underwriters. The banks frown upon that because everything is centralized. They don't want you to have those conversations. Their SLAs, their service level agreements are going to be different.
Why is that?
Because they don't want the perception that they're influencing the deal. When in all actuality, you should be influencing the deal. Mm-hmm. You're trying to help the customer.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're going to try to help the customer, you truly have to be in a position where you are managing each of those different processes. And that's the same thing that my team, because I do have other loan officers that work with me, have that same mentality. That's something that over the last, and I've been doing this probably now going about a decade. That is something that I've carried across the board, and I'm happy that I was able to find that within Cherry Creek, that same mentality, that same model.
So let me ask you that. I mean, what actually got you involved in that, though? Like, what actually,
So we talked about 10 years ago. So we have a long history.
Oh, yeah.
A little over 10 years ago, I left New York City. I moved to Texas, but prior to leaving New York City, I worked on the New York Stock Exchange. I traded mortgage-backed securities and leveraged loans for, at that time, it was Barclays Capital, big company here still to today, but that was just before the fall of Lehman Brothers. Also, just before the fall of the market.
Right.
On a personal note, that I left for a better opportunity. Joined Bank of America at the time, but there were other opportunities as well. On a personal side, I needed to get away from New York. There was a lot of drama here.
Gotcha.
In order for me to truly, grow as a person and maintain the ambition that I had, it took me to get away from this. So knowing that I had the background of the mortgage-backed securities, knowing that I had the background of really just trading the paper, I felt it was a good transition to try to globalize my perspective. And I went into the banking side of the fence at that point. It's actually also where I met my wife, which is kind of cool. We'll talk about that later. So once I got to Texas, I really went through the rankings at Bank of America super quick. Like 10 promotions within almost 10 years of being at that.
Was that because of that New York mentality you had? I mean,
it was definitely the New York mentality. Especially in the Texas environment and the Florida environment as well. Even though there's a lot of New Yorkers over there.
Oh yeah.
You have a very different hustle when you grow up in this environment.
Oh yeah. 100%, bro.
I truly believe that we have the street smart factor that comes into play.
Right.
So you have to kind of learn how to be a hustler to get yourself out the way.
Absolutely.
But if you're genuine and you actually have a clean, transparent heart, that translates really well into the business world.
That's a great way to put it, man.
I don't sell. I truly give myself to the customer. And once I give myself to the customer, they're either going to say, hey, this guy's trying to hustle me, and I'm going to prove them wrong.
Right.
Or they're just going to take me for my word because I give the transparency. I have no problem showing you where the interest rates are. I already said it earlier in our conversation. We all have the same interest rates. It's just a question of what do you want to pay for?
Right.
You see these commercials that say, oh, we're at 1.99% interest rate. But if you read that tiny little fine print, it says you're buying 1.5 points, which is like $7,000 to get to that
I didn't even know that's even legal, though. They can actually do that.
Exactly.
It's insane, right?
It's
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it, people do it. People do it. It's like I'm going to dangle the carrot.
Right.
And Bugs Bunny's going to come running. And then Wile E. Coyote's going to just go get the hammer on himself with the TNT.
Right, that's crazy.
That's the best analogy as I can give you.
Yeah, man.
And I can't tell you how many customers I have that come back to me purely on the strength that
they see, okay,
I told them from the very beginning. This is exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
So,
but that's great what you do, though, man. Because honestly, man, that's one thing I definitely have to applaud, though. Because I mean, it is a business, regardless, right? However, though, you're not trying to make it as if like I'm trying to make a quick buck out of you. I mean, trying to help you. You know what I mean? That's my currency, really. You know what I mean? That's how I really get paid off.
Honestly, it's and you know this about me. I'm a very spiritual person, so I look at this really as my ministry. Honestly. My faith has allowed me to truly look at this as how am I going to help people be their best selves. And I'll be honest, this pandemic has helped us immensely in my world. And it's because let's be real. From a family standpoint, you either have a stronger marriage, and honestly, that's what I have, where everybody else is struggling, or a lot of people are struggling. I can't say everybody else. A lot of people are struggling. My wife and I are flourishing. We're actually getting even closer. While other people are getting divorced. They're looking at, Tinder, Bumble, and whatever acronym is out there nowadays, and trying to get themselves in the hustle. Oh my God, yeah. And they're losing their marriages because they're realizing that the person that they're with really isn't their life partner. Or they're realizing that
you're getting deep right now.
Yeah, well, I'm in that analytical mentality now. As I get older, I really try to start to globalize the perspective on everything.
Absolutely, no.
And that's not saying that's a bad thing for either capacity, because life happens. And sometimes it takes you to realize that maybe you're not with the right person. I'm fortunate that I'm on the other side of the fence. But with those changes, you also sometimes, and other people are realizing that the kids are home and they're having to study from home, and they don't have enough space in their home, and they're wanting to upgrade or they're wanting to refinance to try to add that add-on to their home.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm flourishing. It's not, and I'm doing mostly purchase business. I don't do a lot of refinance. I do them, but that's not my bread and butter. That's not what's gonna, create those. That's just like the icing on top of the cake.
I see that. So I mean, what do you say to our listening viewers, though? The benefits actually having a home opposed to renting.
So the first thing I think is equity. I mean, if you're in a scenario where when you rent a property, you're pretty much giving that money over to the landlord or the managing company. That's no revenue that's coming to you. There's no financial gain that's coming from that process. While on the housing market, you look at equity. So I live in Texas now. It's one of the hottest markets in the nation. There's just a spread of kind of what the market's doing right now. 49 of the 50 states are flourishing. They're in a multiple bid scenario,
really?
where the demand is so high and the inventory is so low that builders are honestly starting to get a lot of business because of that. The average increase market over capita right now is 46% in the United States.
No way.
The average. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say this, New York's only at 3% right now.
And why is that, you think?
Pandemic. There are a lot of people that are moving to other states.
Right.
Because they refuse to fully open it. I mean, look at Texas right now. I mean, on Wednesday, they'll be taking away the mask mandate. They will be opening up everything at 100%. And I'll tell you, from someone who's been on the other side of the fence that actually sees what's going on versus what the media is putting into play.
Gotcha.
It's not as bad as in Texas as they're trying to play it. It's really not.
Yeah, no.
For the most part, people are maintaining their social distancing. They're keeping themselves clean. What you're seeing in those big counties, such as Dallas and Tarrant County, where I live, which is the Fort Worth area, Austin, is that they're flying a lot of people from West Texas or East Texas into those areas because they're more suitably set to maintain those patients.
Oh, okay.
Which is inflating the numbers in those large markets. Which is interesting, honestly.
Yeah, no. Wow.
And the reason I can tell you this with confidence is I've been seeing it from, people within my circle of influence. They're nurses, they're doctors, then that's exactly what they've told me.
Wow, man. See, I mean, I didn't know that part, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just like, wow. Because, I mean, one thing I have to say, though, this pandemic definitely changed everyone's life. Like, I mean, it changed the world, really. You know what I mean? Pretty much. Like, the whole world stopped.
Pretty much. Well, please don't take it by any means. I'm not minimizing this because I can tell you straight up.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of good people, a lot of friends, family members on my side as well, personally, here in the city. So it is very, very real.
Yeah, no 1,000%, man. 1,000%, man.
But there is a way to get back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is like, I mean, definitely it changed everything, right? I mean, you said it right now earlier, but I think it should be a rude awakening too at the same time. To really wake up and look at life with a different lens. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I took it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for me, this pandemic definitely had a huge effect, and it's kind of crazy where the day after my birthday is when the whole quarantine took an effect. It was crazy. That was like the last experience of me. Like, and like it hit me though. It hit me in a way that I never really actually took the time to look at it like that. But yeah, man, that was an awakening call for me.
Oh, I definitely can second that. Priscilla and I, Priscilla being my wife, we were sitting in Florida with the kids at some really close friends of our family, and Disney World. We were at NASA.
Oh yeah,
doing the visiting of that. They were supposed to do a shuttle thing for Tesla, and they canceled the shuttle launch for that day because it just wasn't good conditions. The next day, Disney World closed and every theme park.
Wow.
So it was just insane to kind of see
right
where that travelers hub.
There you go.
Go down to
and I go there every summer, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
I go there every summer with my daughter. Yeah, that's crazy. Damn, man, that's crazy. But you was able to really, like you said, like you were able to actually capitalize. As far as like you and your wife to flourish and really grow from that.
Absolutely, and it's fortunate that my wife's a realtor as well, so that creates a different, a good team environment.
Absolutely,
we consider ourselves, Team De Jesus. The branding itself is Team De Jesus, powered by Cherry Creek Mortgage. That's been pretty much the good factors behind all this.
Gotcha.
And honestly, with Texas, with everybody kind of leaving other states and migrating to Texas because of the state being open, there's no sales tax. I don't pay. Like how here in New York, you pay the taxes on the city taxes and the state taxes.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous over there.
There is nothing. So the two states that I've gone to in the last decade, Florida and Texas, I've been very deliberate.
Yeah, it's crazy though. You're right about that because a co-host Chris Ryder, like he actually moved to Dallas though, and he was actually talking about that as well, as far as like the taxes, how it works over there. It's a major difference.
Absolutely.
You
now,
know what I mean?
don't get me wrong. The property taxes are still pretty high, but still in comparison to like a New York or something like that, or California, which are the two big.
I don't think it's any. Is there another state that actually does what New York does though? I mean, because we actually pay federal, state, and city tax.
California is the only other one that does.
Oh, California. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
California, which we expected. I mean, those are the two big.
Right. Economically speaking, right?
Economically, yeah.
Yeah, that's right about that, man. I mean, listen, man. Jaime de Jesus, I mean, this is my brother, though, man. Like, I mean, people don't know this, man, but we got a long history, and I mean, yo, man, I definitely admire what you do, though, for the simple fact, like, I know your upbringing, you know what I'm saying, which, you know my upbringing as well. So, again, though, like, I mean, knowing the environment that we came from, and seeing what you're doing right now, man, I gotta applaud you, man. I mean, you may not hear this clap right now, but that clap, man, it means a lot to me, man, because, I mean, again, though, man, we came from the bottom, bro. Like, we literally came from the fucking bottom. You know what I'm saying? And
I love that, bro, because I can honestly tell you with the greatest humility in the world, though we do pretty well for ourselves now, that beginning and that humility that came from pretty much not really having anything makes a tremendous difference in how you approach life.
Absolutely.
You either fall into the equation where you fall into the environment, which we know a lot of our friends have, and a lot of our families have.
Oh, yeah.
But outside of that, you have to look at that adversity as, are you going to try to fight to get to what you want?
Right.
Which, that really is something that no one can give you.
Right.
That's something that, we can advise, unless you have something inside you that's going to give you that drive to get there.
There you go.
You're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those scenarios where, with the greatest humility, I never forgot where I came from. I still joke about it all the time. I'm still a little hood, and I love that. I still like to wear my Jordans. You're right about that,
because at the end we're still a product of our environment.
Correct.
Regardless of how, you know what I'm saying, I mean, we all grow, we all evolve, but you're still a product of your environment, you know what I mean? That's something that's already embedded, in you, you know what I mean, forever.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But it's how you really depict it and how you actually learn from that experience, though, that makes you who you are today.
No, it's true. And I get with the customers all the time. They're like, well, you don't sound like you're from New York. I said, give me a couple of hours where I'm tired. It'll come out, okay? Just because I can enunciate doesn't mean I'm not from New York.
Right. That's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. But listen, man, it's a pleasure, man. I mean, listen, we got to really elaborate, as far as, like, us, though, man, because, like, you and I definitely go way back, bro. We go way back, you know what I'm saying?
Like about that tone.
Word, man. I mean, listen.
Woodworking with Leslie Hinton.
That was an inside joke, but listen, again, that's how we go way back, though, man. We go way back, man. But listen, we're going to take a short break, you know what I'm saying? The Nothing I'll Tell podcast, you know what I'm saying? With my boy, Jaime de Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Again, though, man, I have to applaud you, though, man. Man, to know where you're at right now and, knowing how things were going up. Wow. That's another clap right there.
We're going to throw a toast up before we go.
Oh, salud.
Salud.
Absolutely, man. So we'll be back, you know what I'm saying? The Nothing I'll Tell podcast, DJ Jones of all, Chris Ryder. You know what I mean? We always here, you know what I mean, doing it up and just being your source to knowledge. We'll be back.